lady said, and I will read this book, guys. Take this away. She bought this for £5. Hey, guys. Anyway, we can put this here. Don't worry, we're not going to litter. We're going to remove this. We're not going to break the rules, like smoking in the non-smoking area. So this lovely lady, who's braver than vast majority of the people who were in here, it was only her and the gentleman in red who came here to speak with us. Just as a disclaimer. Thank you for that. You know, actually honest people. This book that she said she bought for £5, you know, terrible price. Let me just mention that. You know, she was ripped off with this. It says here, introduction about Ukraine, Putin's war and NATO expansion. Of course, they put Putin on the same level of NATO. The same exact mental tactic that the Russophiles and the Kremlin does all the time. They always put themselves on the same level as their victim. Oh yes, we are attacking and killing them, but actually they've done equally bad things in the past, so we are justified. That is the point they're trying to make already. Let's read it. The events of 2022 have put the North Atlantic Treaty Organization and its policies under the spotlight more than any time in the post-Cold War period. Perhaps even in its 73 years of existence. Okay, just an introduction. The brutal invasion of Ukraine by Russian forces in February forced some, if not enough, commentators to reflect on the effect of NATO's aggressive eastward expansion. Here we go, of course. It didn't take them long. It did not take them long to #blame NATO of everything. Just blame the West, blame NATO, blame the UK of everything that happens. It's gonna sort everything out, isn't it? Because it was NATO that invaded Ukraine, right? Was it NATO? My friend, you who are filming, could you answer a question on camera right now? What did NATO invade Ukraine? Oh, they don't even want you to film it.
No arguments.
Oh, that's a shame. That's such a
Where's
shame.
the anti-NATO voice?
So already they're blaming NATO of something that the Russians have done at the very beginning of this article, but I'll continue to read.
Using the word aggression with NATO.
Of course, aggressive eastward expansion. These people, they are liars. They don't explain to people that joining NATO is voluntary. Not a single country has been forced to join NATO. Not a single one. Ever.
And where are the anti-NATO protests in Warsaw?
Yes. And then it says, though it does not excuse Russia's aggression, of course, they're trying to kind of pad their morality. They're kind of trying to pad themselves here. Hey, how are you, sir? You found your way now. How was the event? How was the event today? Blyer. Blyer. Stop the word.org.uk. Blyer. I guess that's his name, Blyer. Though it does not excuse Russia's aggression, there is no doubting that it has contributed to the current incredibly dangerous situation the world finds itself in. Of course, again, it's not just Russia's fault, it's also NATO's fault, because evil NATO has allowed Poland, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania to join their ranks. How dare NATO allow these countries to request and to join their ranks? How dare they? Truly. Now let's continue. Established at the onset of the Cold War, NATO was instrumental in nuclear brinkmanship. That's a new word for everyone, brinkmanship. Although not officially involved in any wars during its first 40 years of operation, NATO helped to foster a climate in which nuclear war was possible, and in the years since the Cold War has been marked by expansionist aggression.
You know words of the Warsaw Pact, but...
Do we live in the same world right now? We speak about nuclear blackmail, we speak about enabling and creating a world where nuclear war is possible. What about the Russian nuclear blackmail? Is that not happening? Are the Russians not blackmailing the rest of the world that are going to use nukes if anything at all happens? If any minutest help comes to Ukraine? Are the Russians not doing that? They are. Is it written here? It's not. Since 1999, NATO has added 14 new member states. By the way, just a reminder, all of those member states were voluntary states. Every single one of them wanted to join NATO.
Because they don't want to be with Russia.
Because they don't want to be invaded by Russia. Yes. Exactly. Thank you very much.
And where's the anti-NATO protests in those countries?
All in Central and Eastern Europe, and officially recognizes 3 more aspiring members in that region, including Ukraine. This, despite Western assurances at the end of the Cold War that there would be no eastward expansion to NATO. Lie! This is the biggest lie that I've ever seen spread by the far left of nowadays. NATO and the West have never made such a promise to the Soviet Union. Never, ever has such a treaty been signed. This is pure misinformation. If anybody here wants to disprove me, do it right here and now and mention the name of this treaty. You can't, because it does not exist. NATO claims these additions are designed to deter Russian aggression. Well, what a surprise! Russia has never invaded a NATO member before. It's a bit of a coincidence, winky-dinky, isn't it? But this expansionism has ended up provoking it and brought the possibility of major power conflict closer than any point since the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962. Alright, so let's talk about this for a second. The Soviets were planning to put nukes in Cuba, whilst the Ukrainians have given up their nukes. So where's the similarity? NATO never discussed putting nukes in Ukraine. It was never even considered as a possibility. In fact, Ukraine has demilitarized the third biggest nuclear arsenal in the world. Does this book mention it? No, it doesn't. Because this book is full of lies. And it was written by the liars who are still hiding from us right now. I'll continue to read. The proposed accession of Sweden and Finland to the military alliance will only further inflame tensions. Now this is my favorite part. Finland and Sweden were not really seriously considering joining NATO before the war in Ukraine. In fact, they had not even joined after the war began all the way back in 2014. They only joined when Russia proved with no uncertain terms that they are a psychopathic terrorist regime by invading Ukraine and trying to go for a full-blown annexation of the country. Then Finland and Sweden decided to finally join NATO because Russia is a deranged country, a terrorist state, and it cannot be trusted. In 2021, NATO finally ceased its catastrophic 20-year occupation of Afghanistan. Oh yeah, sure, very catastrophic. What was catastrophic is the life of the people who were left there. Left there for the Taliban to do whatever they please with them. That was the real catastrophe. And the wounds inflicted by its onslaught on Libya continue to widen. There is also continued speculation over expansion into Latin America. Now I'm confused. Was this not supposed to be about Ukraine and Russia? Why are we bringing all of these different examples to the fold? Because this is one of the points of the Russophiles. To bring what about
be
it?
banned in Britain? Should left-wing parties be banned in Britain? You banned them in Ukraine.
What's your question? Come here. Hey, don't go. You asked a question. You asked a question. Come back. Hey, don't run away. Don't run away. Hold on. Now, you guys can all see what just happened. This individual wanted to speak with me, but he gave in to peer pressure from these individuals right here who told him to leave, who told him to not engage. And this is exactly what Russia wants. Russia wants to remove freedom of conversation, freedom of speech from everybody. It wants to remove any kind of discussion and debate. Only dogma will remain if Russia is allowed to win. I will continue to read this. In many circles, the existence of NATO and Britain's membership of the military alliance are unquestionable. This briefing is designed to raise questions to ask whether this aggressive alliance is fit for purpose in the 21st century and why, after multiple failures from Afghanistan to Libya, it remains unchallenged in foreign policy circles. Now, once again, why was Afghanistan a failure? Because they left. They left everybody for the Taliban to do whatever they please with them.
And what does that have to do with Russia invading Ukraine?
What does that have to do with Russia invading Ukraine?
Who blundered into Afghanistan in the first place?
Who finds that
Afghanistan
is a fascist slogan? Could you justify that, please? Could you come back? No? Okay, see you later. Slava Ukraini!
Hey, Pablo, who blundered into Afghanistan back in '79 in the first place and started all this?
NATO is by design a powerful arm of US foreign policy. Oh, I love this. Which has wreaked so much destruction upon the planet for over 50 years. As the war in Ukraine develops into a proxy war between itself and Russia, we'll come back to this, we must step up our campaign against the NATO war alliance. It's funny how the focus is on stopping NATO, not stopping Russia. stopping the people who are helping Ukraine defend themselves, not stopping the aggressor. Now, sure, occasionally they sprinkle these ideas of, oh, we condemn Russia, but NATO is really the real evil behind this whole issue, right?
Not a single word against North Korea.
Exactly. And my personal favorite part develops into a proxy war between itself and Russia. Can anybody here define a proxy war? Any of you guys? Would you like to give me a definition? Of course you wouldn't. You didn't want to speak with us before. Now that I'm asking for complicated definitions, of course you're never going to be able to define it. I will define it for you. A proxy war is when two powers are supporting two different sides in a war, but are indirectly sponsoring that war. That is not the war in Ukraine, because Russia has directly invaded Crimea in 2014, and Russia is directly sending their troops to Ukraine. What's happening in Ukraine is a war between Ukraine and Russia, not a proxy war. And the people who wrote this don't speak basic English.
Oh, but Pablo. Oh, everyone who rules Russia as a tyrant is a comrade. On that basis, even Ivan the Terrible would be a comrade.
Here we have a long-winded text by Andrew Murray. Stop the War Coalition has warned for many years that the wars of the early 21st century in Iraq, Afghanistan and Libya were likely to be precursors to still more threatening great power clashes. Let's remind ourselves of the first Iraq War. Who was it that started the first Iraq War? Does anybody have any clues? No? Nobody knows?
A mini Stalin. Gassed the Kurds and tortured
Iraq started the first Iraq War by invading Kuwait. And then the Americans joined in to defend Kuwait because they had an alliance with Kuwait. They had a pact to defend Kuwait. So,
and what does
this
that have
stuff,
to do with Russia invading Ukraine?
Absolutely. You know, I'm mentioning this because even if we completely forget about Ukraine and Russia, their points still make no sense. But the point stands. This has nothing to do with Russia and Ukraine. Russia has invaded Ukraine. Russia has escalated this war. And the only way to stop this war is to stop Russia. And then they say, so much was observable from precedents and from the contours of world politics as they emerged in the post-Cold War world. Okay, sure, some waffling. With the war in Ukraine, that point of transition has been reached. One great power, Russia, has invaded. So we admit that Russia has invaded Ukraine.
After how many lines?
Okay.
How many pages?
This is. Hold on. This is the let's say the second page. Let's be fair with them because actually it's the third page technically, but there's a big picture. So let's say it's the second
There'll be
page.
a butt somewhere.
Yeah.
It took a while.
Oh, 100%. There's going to be a big butt in here. There's going to be a
It
big
took a
butt.
while, but we got there.
Exactly. But hold on, I'm sure they will backpedal on this claim too. One great power, Russia. By the way, great misrepresentation of Russia. It's not a great power. It can only bully its neighbors,
It's an empire.
but not a great empire. Has invaded its neighbor on the grounds that it was becoming the instrument of a rival power bloc. Actually, that's not the main reason that Putin gave. So I'm afraid you guys haven't even listened to Putin's speeches very well. The main reason Putin gave for invading Ukraine is that supposedly ethnic Russians and Russian speakers were being attacked in Ukraine by these supposed neo-Nazis.
Do you know anything about Stefan Bandera? Bandera? Do you know anything about him?
Well, what's your question? No, wait, what's your question? Don't silence your own people. Stop silencing your own people. Speak, sir.
They
Speak.
were talking about Bandera. He asked if you know Stepan Bandera.
What do you want to say?
I said, do you know anything about Stefan Bandera?
Yes, he was a great man.
Was he really?
Yes, he was.
He's a white supremacist.
He fought against the Nazis
He's a
and the
neo-Nazi.
Soviets. You know he was put in jail by the Nazis. Hold on, don't leave. Why are you running away? Why are you running away?
I'm just walking.
Are you aware that Bandera was put in jail by the Nazis?
And also, he was a white supremacist.
Was he?
Yes.
Is that why he sent a letter to his troops to defend every Jew from the Nazis? Is that why he sent that letter?
Russia invading
Azov
Ukraine.
battalion.
I know. It's a battalion of heroes of Ukraine.
They're neo-Nazis, aren't
They're not neo-Nazis. Have you heard anything about the Wagner group?
they? Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you know that they're proper neo-Nazis. And the Azov battalion was fighting against those neo-Nazis.
Why
That's right.
Why are you attacking the Western
Ah, we're changing subjects again. You see, we started with Bandera, then we proceeded to Azov. Now we're going to attacking Western Ukraine. By the way, you're wrong. It's Eastern Ukraine. The Russian propaganda claims the Ukrainians were attacking Eastern Ukraine. They were not. You're against the war. How are you going to stop it?
The only way is to get a ceasefire.
Huh? Ceasefire.
So that Russians can prepare and kill even more Ukrainians in the future.
You want to kill more Ukrainians.
I mean, you are your own person. You can speak with me if you want, but I'm afraid that these handlers here want to silence you.
Putin doesn't want to ceasefire.
No, exactly, it's debate. What is it to debate if this person do know nothing about Bandera? What is it to debate?
What do you know about Bandera? Yes.
Know nothing about zero.
Could you tell us the history of Bandera?
Russian propaganda say Bandera bad, Bandera is not good, Bandera fascist. But you did not even read about Bandera.
Could you give us the history of Stepan Bandera, please?
I'll ask my friends to stop.
You
No,
don't know
wait. This
nothing
individual
about
brought the
Bandera,
conversation.
and you
Why are
should
you
not
running?
even
You
talk
brought the
about it.
conversation of Bandera. You're running now that you're disproven. Why?
And
Oh, that's just cowardly,
You're bringing up a man who lived 90 years ago to justify an invasion happening today.
But how good they till now scared of them, of him.
Amazing.
I mean, look, I just love it. People come here, they ask a question, I answer that question, I ask them a question in return, they run away. It's very nice. It's a very nice interaction.
I respect
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, don't make
Appreciate
me
it.
change my mind. Okay, don't be aggressive.
Oh, you can change
She's
your
not
mind.
being
What have I done
aggressive.
You are
to
changing
unearn
time.
respect?
To debate.
That's why you're a woman. You're changing your mind all the time.
Wait.
I asked you to read it, and you don't. You shouted.
Oh, you asked
I've
me
already,
to read.
hold on a second, I've already read a page and a half. And I'm continuing to read.
Manipulating
And this thing has like,
You asking to
this
read
thing has like 10 pages. I'm not reading all of this.
Leave her alone.
More than 20. This has like 20 pages. Oh my god, this is long.
Let this lady speak. We're not going to kill her.
Why at home?
What's the problem with reading it here?
What is the problem to read here?
You immediately giving your position.
Yeah.
But read it first.
What's the
Yeah,
problem
that's
with
what
giving my
he's doing.
position?
By immediately try to
Yeah, because it's a lie. If somebody writes in a book 1 + 1 = 3, are you going to continue reading as if you read nothing?
Who,
Wrong.
but by the way, who wrote this book?
I mean, Andrew Murray, Lindsay German, Chris Needham, Matt Wilgress, Carol Turner, Jenny Clegg, Kate Hudson. Don't know
People
any of
who
these
make apologies for Russian imperialism. That's what it
most
is.
likely. I mean, we can see the apologism right here, that's for certain. That goes without saying. Anyway, this is a very long-winded description, and this is a very long-winded way of saying NATO is to blame, Russia didn't do nothing. That's basically what this thing is about.
Yeah, Russia
But
is
Ukraine
white
was
and
not a part
fluffy.
of NATO. Then why Russia
Innocent.
invaded?
I mean, it kind of blows my mind. Why are we
And
holding
why
Russia to a
invade-
different standard
invade
to the rest of
They are
the world?
fighting in Russia. They think Russia as amazing country. Russia did
Why
not
don't you
do
migrate
anything
to
bad.
Russia then?
That's what they think.
But migrate to Russia. If you love Russia so much, migrate to Russia, please.
Everybody around the Russia is so bad, and just Russia nice and fluffy and white.
All the Russia's neighbors are bad. All Russia's neighbors are bad for some reason. Russia
No one
invades
invaded
everybody.
Russia.
Yes.
Just
Focus
Russia
so
invades
much
all
on
the
Russian
countries
security. Russian security. Oh my God, we are threatening Russian security. Nobody cares about security of Ukraine, security of the Baltic countries. No, that doesn't. Russian security. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Hold on, I really like this part here. That bloc, NATO, led by the USA, has accordingly mobilized against Russia. You guys know that the help that the US has been giving Ukraine is around 1% of their annual investment in their military. US has mobilized against Russia? Are you serious? 1% is mobilization. The US is sending change to Ukraine. And you guys are here saying, no, let the Ukrainians get killed. Don't give any weapons to the Ukrainians. Let them all die. Then we will have peace. Right? Why?
Because they want to be with Russia.
They want to make apologies for
They
Russian
are Russian
colonialism.
supporters. They supporting
This is pure
terrorists.
apologism. This is pure
And they
apologism.
don't realize that today they're killing Ukrainians and tomorrow they will be killing them.
But they don't
I
look
know.
that much forward.
Like Prigozhin. You know, Prigozhin used to think that he was an ally of Putin. But then, you know, he exceeded his expectations and he had to be killed. Well, I'm afraid it's going to be a bit boring for the poor baby, but
Russia is a very small country.
I know, but you didn't answer. Now you finally answered. Thank you for
Russia
that.
is a very
Thank you
tiny
for that.
country. It needs a lot more land. It's very tiny. It needs more land.
Yes, but Tony, it's still a great power.
It's a very small.
Yeah.
It's got a few acres. It's
Very great.
overpopulated.
It's either very small or it's a great power. They can't make up their ruddy mind.
That's not true. I'm sorry. I've got that wrong.
Oh no!
It's a big country.
I mean, it's the biggest country in the world. Why does Russia need more land? I'll tell you why. Because they want the propagandistic win in the eyes of the supporters of Putin. And they want to enrich the Russian elites. Prigozhin himself has said so. He said that this war, that the war that the Russians have started, and he admitted that too, it was not started to save Russian speakers or ethnic Russians. It was started to enrich the Russian elites. The only reason why it started. Prigozhin said that every single objective Putin established in this war has been successfully failed. Every single one of them. They plan to demilitarize Ukraine. Ukraine has become stronger than it ever was before. They plan to denazify Ukraine. They're still looking for these imaginary Nazis. They still didn't
There were
find
no
them.
Nazis to begin with. So.
They were planning to isolate Ukraine internationally and make it a pariah state, but instead they became a pariah state. So, congratulations, Russia. Congratulations. You have successfully failed every single objective you have put forward.
The thing is that Russia is a current empire. Almost all previous empires have died, but Russia still exists. An empire cannot exist without occupying more and more territories. This is the nature of the imperialism. Russia colonized many countries and they still want to colonize more, because without colonizing more territories they cannot exist. So until this evil empire will disintegrate, the world will be threatened by Russia, because this is the nature of any imperialistic
You know, I have to mention,
country.
I love it how they mention here, oh, you know, when the Warsaw Pact, there was this conversation. They say it like, I'll read what they wrote here. I love how they put this, because it shows that they know that they're lying. They know that truth is not on their side, but they really, really want to present it as if they were right. In 1991, as the Warsaw Pact fell apart, because nobody wanted to be part of it, honestly, US Secretary of State James Baker had assured the Soviet President Mikhail Gorbachev that NATO would not move east of Germany. NATO will not extend by a single inch to the east. He